Hi, and welcome back to the Count to 10 podcast. This is my second official one, I guess the third one if you include the intro one. But my name is Simon Sanborn, and this is the Count to 10 podcast. And the hope for this podcast is to give some ideas, maybe get some insight into how the brain functions and how behaviors function for kids and as well as for adults. So the hope is that we can find some answers or maybe even some understanding, probably more importantly, the understanding of why behaviors happen and what we can kind of do to help them out. First off, I forgot to put pictures of the books into the video. Last time I said I would I would put some pictures in there. So this is The Whole Brain Child by Daniel Siegel that I think is amazing. This is a workbook, kind of goes with it. Mine's torn apart and been used and copied, and it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. And then the other book that I talked about was Brainstorm. And again, why I like Brainstorm is it really talks about how we talk about how terrible teenagers are and their impulsiveness and all of it. It really helps you kind of better understand it's not these guys are having these terrible times and they're choosing to be obstinate or choosing to be rude and things like that. You have to start realizing in this book or you begin to realize that their brains are changing. They are getting, they're a handful of years out from having a fully developed brain. And so as the brain develops, it starts kind of getting rid of old things and starts adding new things as their executive function and their frontal cortex really starts to come into play. So it really helps you look at, it's kind of like what I said in the last podcast about thinking of behaviors as messages. Again, this helps you change your mindset. So instead of looking at these horrible teenagers that are making all these choices and doing all these impulsive things and, very scary, we worry about those things for our kids. It just really helps you shift your thinking and say, no, their brains are changing. Their brains are being rewired right now. That's what all those hormones are for. That's why all this stuff is happening in their body. It is helping prepare their brain to that next spot in their human life. So getting some understanding around that can be really helpful. So I would highly suggest Brainstorm if you can. Today, after some suggestions from a lot of good people who I appreciate their feedback, I work with some amazing people at the school I work with, and they are much appreciated for what they do for me every day as a behavior teacher and how thoughtful and caring they are for their own students, because I see them interact with them all the time. I'm just kind of caught off guard by how wonderful they are. So great group of people, very lucky for that, and I have a lot of gratitude for who they are and what they do every day. So today what I thought I would do is focus mainly on power struggles. Power struggles, again, and we can kind of talk about it. I think it applies both to school and outside of school, whether you have power struggles with your child at home or you have power struggles with children in a classroom. We've always heard the term picking your battles. This is like the ultimate picking the battle decision. Power struggles, I think, work best, and what I've read are the pre-work, so an example would be if I have a classroom and I've put together classroom rules in the first week of school. I had the students participate in making those rules. They have buy-in and they all agree to those rules. So it's a collaborative thing with their teacher. It's just the beginning of building that amazing trust that teachers have with their students. And so the idea would be that once I have those rules set, there should not be another power struggle, so to speak. If I have little Tommy or Tanya, not following one of the rules, we simply just point to the board. So it's not about me anymore. There's no reason to have power struggle with me. You and I made this list of rules. Were you following rule number 3? Were you following through with that? No, I wasn't. Okay, then you understand the consequence. They may still disagree and still be upset about it, but you've kind of pulled yourself out of the situation. And you're no longer the focal point. It is the behavior or the message that was being sent that now becomes the focal point. And they have the responsibility and the accountability involved in that. That's why I love classroom rules when it's a big classroom thing. It's not, you walk in the first day of school and here's a list of things you have to follow. Great, one more thing I gotta do. It's more of, we all want this classroom to function. We all want this classroom to be a happy, fun place to come and learn. We're all gonna be involved in how we decide how it runs. Of course, there's some limitations in there as well. You're a teacher and you have the autonomy to make some of those decisions. But that's the best part. You know how the system works. This list of rules, you already have some pre-planned things in your head that you know that you need to have up there. So maybe somebody raises their hand and they give you an idea for a rule and you're like, well, that's kind of like the one that has to do with make sure you have a sharpened pencil before class starts or something like that. And then you can be like, okay, I love that one. Can I change it and say this instead? Oh yeah, that works. Awesome. So now she just not only came up with the rule, you were able to utilize your thinking in there as well. Now she's part of it. Now everybody else is a part of it. That's where things really can start changing. So that to me, for a classroom kind of thing, would be just a simple kind of classroom management kind of thing, is to make sure that they're involved. You can't walk into a place. I can't walk into my job every day and not think that I have some ownership in what's happening here. So I try to walk in every day with a really positive attitude and the focus being student success. That's all I really focus on. And so whether it's a behavior or it's math or it's fifth grade or it's sixth grade or it's kindergarten, I'm going to approach it the same way. Their success is what matters. What do I need to do to help facilitate that? So I really have to walk in with a good mindset as well. So power struggles at home, to me, same thing. So if I'm at home, family dinners, right? That's when everybody's having a good time. We're talking about things, we're reflecting about our day, we're enjoying spending time together. And that's a great opportunity to say, hey guys, I wanted to bring up something, I don't know if I'm forgetting something or I'm unsure, but I thought we kind of said we would all make sure we got our dishes into the dishwasher every night, no matter what. And everybody would take care of their own things. And then whoever's night it is for the kitchen could just clean up the rest of the stuff and everybody would be cool with it. So not accusing anybody of anything, right? But I might have set those rules up ahead of time. Or in that moment, I'd be like, hey, I'm really tired of cleaning up the kitchen. Let's come up with some rules to help me so we can all make this work together. So I think that, again, you can avoid the power struggles because can I have my allowance? No, you can't have your allowance right now. Why? Because you didn't take care of your dishes like you said you would. Oh, sorry, let's rephrase that. You didn't clean up your dishes like we all agreed that we would clean up our dishes and help each other out as this family, this team. I'm sorry, I can't get you your allowance. Now, you could have, I guess, a screaming match back and forth at that point if you wanted to. But that's, to me, when you walk away. That's when I say, I've stated the rule that we all agreed would happen. You didn't follow through with the rule. So the consequence is now you can't have your allowance. You get your allowance when you have gotten all your things done or you followed through with what was required of you. Then that's the end of the story. So if they want to choose to keep freaking out and get upset and all that kind of stuff, I guess that's going to be their decision to do that. That's a whole nother podcast. But that to me is what pulls that power struggle away. What is there that we're either collectively part of that I can say you are not following through with what you said you would do for all of us? But again, like I said, it's a lot of pre-planning, but it's worth it. And then the power struggle can be they can have the power struggle by themselves because that's really what it's about. It's their power struggle. They try to pull you into that power struggle. They understand something is off. They understand they need to be talked to. There's a reason why they need to be talked to. Those kind of things, it's going through their heads. But it helps us and it helps them as well to understand that the reason why we do things is for all of us, right? We do that for our community. I don't litter, or I actually pick up litter because it's my community and I care about it. So I'm going to do my part, maybe even more than I should, but I love my community, so I'm going to do that. And there are going to be people that don't do that. But you need to know that you're part of something bigger than you and that you are a part of it. So you don't get to opt out. You're an important part of it. So how are we going to pull somebody in and make them part of that thinking? So I think those power struggles can really be kind of mitigated by setting up those rules ahead of time. But one of the tools I would say besides that, because I know there's a lot of pre-planning, but you can start planning right now. You can start doing family rules right now at dinner time because you think it's important to have for your household. It doesn't have to be a certain time. Any time is a good day to start doing something different that you know is going to affect yourself and affect others. So I would say jump on it if you need to. Same would go for teachers. If you haven't done a collective group thing to bring everybody together so you're all on the same page, what's better than one of your peers saying, hey man, you know that you're supposed to go to the restroom when we come back from, art before you come into class. So that's why you got in trouble, Instead of a teacher giving somebody a hard time, I'm sure the teacher goes, hey man, sorry, you can't leave. We have this to start. And then that was it, right? This is the rules. We're starting. Here we go. And then later on, I can't believe so-and-so didn't let me go to the bathroom. Well, you know what the rules are. The rules should be, you should go to the bathroom before you get in there, and then you don't have to worry about it. And if your buddy says that to you instead of your teacher, we all know that has a much better impact. It stinks, but it's true. I would say the same thing at home. Mom and dad get on your case about things or talk to you about things. Your brothers or your sisters, something like that, might be like, hey, just put your dishes in the dishwasher. You're gonna be fine. When you get it from the table, rinse them off and you're good. So that would be that power struggle part. The last thing I would say that I think would be good for a tool is, again, from Daniel Siegel. He calls it name it to tame it. And what he's talking about is naming the feeling. So whether it's a power struggle, whether we're upset about something else that happened, angry, sad, whatever it is, it's really important to help them name that feeling. Because to name it is to then take ownership for it and understand it better. So before we can even name it to tame it, if somebody's really agitated and really going off and having a struggle emotionally and behaviorally, they have to get that lower brain, that amygdala, that kind of core fear, flight kind of part of our brain under control first. Because its only job there is to throw out signals that something's off. And sometimes you misinterpret that signal. So once we can say, wow, you seem really upset and angry, right? Get that right side to start connecting with that inner brain so that it can start making some connections and some thinking can start taking place. So once that starts, right? Yes, I'm really upset. I'm really angry. Well, I'm so sorry you're upset. Giving somebody a rub in the back, a pat on the shoulder, something like that to say, hey, I'm here for you. I'm caring for you. Gets that connection, right? So then once that happens, I am very angry, right? And so now they can start saying, okay, why am I angry? What's going on? And start processing. So naming that anger, first you gotta be calm enough to do it. Then we gotta name that anger or whatever feeling it is. And then we can start kind of taming it, so to speak. And I say taming is like understanding it, right? You name it, now let's understand why this is happening. And then that just kind of brings everything down. I highly suggest you Google Daniel Siegel. Do Daniel Siegel, I think he's a psychologist, a child psychologist. Daniel Siegel on YouTube. There's tons of things in there. That's where I get a lot of my information from. So I totally rip it off from him. But he's awesome, and he is really good at responding. I've sent him a couple emails for asking questions, and he's responded. And some of his people have responded. So I just really appreciate the way he approaches students and understanding their behaviors, and think he's a wonderful resource to use. That's about it. My last suggestion would probably be that whether you're walking into a school or whether you're walking into home, start becoming more aware of what you're walking in with. I have a friend who, when he walks up the steps of his house, he stands there, takes 3 deep breaths, and then pretends that he's setting down 2 pieces of luggage, and he shakes his hand out, and he walks in the door. And for him, that's more of a visual thing, and I think it's awesome. For me, I walk in the door and I say hi to everybody who's there, and I go upstairs and change my clothes, and I right away do a meditation. Unless we have some activity to go to, I do a good meditation with Waking Up by Sam Harris. Great meditation. And in the mornings, I do a meditation before I come to work. I use Headspace for that because they're both available for teachers. Which I think is awesome, because right now teachers are stressed out. It's a lot of work to be a teacher, and with this time and place too, with COVID and things like that, it's sketchy. So it can be a little stressful. So I try to do those 2 things for myself, and I'll probably talk more about meditation in another podcast. But today, I just want to say that remember, when you're walking into the door, of whatever building it is that you work at, what are you walking in with, so that the first person that approaches you gets the full benefit of who you are without all the other stuff that you bring in there, because you're working there for a reason. You probably have a skill set and probably are good at your job and an important part of a team somewhere. And you want to be the best teammate you can be. And if that means you walk in with a clear conscience and you feel good about your life and you feel good about this moment right now that you're in, that's going to go a long way. It really feeds people what you bring into the situation. So I just be aware that when you walk into whatever building you're going to walk into, you're doing it with intention for those that are inside. Again, please email me if you have any questions, if you have any concerns. I'd love to hear some concerns about, like, oh, you said this, that really worries me about this, or behaviors can escalate, and they definitely can, but rough behaviors or rough signals do not always mean things are going to escalate to a point where they can be really bad. It could just be a moment, and it's consistency with those behaviors that you want to be aware of. So I really want you to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. My name is Simon, Symon, Sanborn, Sanborn, @gmail.com. I know it's sketchy to throw my email out there, but I'll only read the good ones, and I'll take all the rest with a grain of salt, and I'll rely on my coworkers to guide me if they have issues with things, because I know they're being thoughtful about it. But I would like to hear from you. Again, I would like this to be a community of people that are really struggling with understanding things, or find themselves in a pickle and they're not sure how to get out of it. And teachers go through a lot of stress. And so I do have a lot of teachers that reach out to me about ideas and solutions and things like that. So I love doing that. I love doing it. So I'm a big believer in coaching. So let me know, and I would be happy to coach through some problems, issues, whatever is going on. So please reach out. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves.